Good morning, Abby. It's Monday, and we're almost done. Previously on Molly being an idiot, Rach joined the fire-starting side of VFD, and Jeremy Skywalker was persuaded by Darth Squip to join the dark side. So Jeremy's dad has finally decided to start, being a dad, because apparently he heard about the midnight arson somehow, and then he also realized that Jeremy took his car out last night, so then from there he was able to put two and two together, and he started freaking out about his son's safety. Jeremy starts acting all angsty and aloof towards his dad, partly because of the Squip's influence, and partly because Jeremy is just kind of tired of dealing with his dad's crap at this point. And it's really sad, because you can tell that his dad is trying, but he just doesn't know how. And Jeremy, on the other hand, is rightfully tired of his dad just being this apathetic slug who sits around never doing nothing. So as a result, there's just this huge disconnect between them, and it is absolutely painful to listen to. His dad is like, well, where are you taking the car now? And then Jeremy's like, school, I gotta get ready for the play. And then Jeremy's dad is like, play? You're in a play? Since when? I got it's just so sad, and you're just like, oh my god, Here Dad, what have you done? Why did I call him Here Dad? That's Jeremy's dad's name now, I guess, Here Dad. Jeremy has this emotional outburst where he basically points out to his dad that sitting around the house pantsless all day isn't going to make his mom come back and love him again. And it's really tense, okay? I'm just gonna say that. Jeremy's like walking out the door and his dad's like, I could ground you, you know. And then Jeremy just turns around, looks his dad straight in the eyes, and he says, I don't think you could. And then he just turns around and walks out the door. Here Dad doesn't know exactly what is going on with his son, but he knows that something is up and he wants to find out what. But he also realizes that, in part, Jeremy's kind of right. He's got to put pants on eventually. Then starts another musical number in which they use putting on pants as a metaphor for doing things that are hard for the good of those that you love. And I know that you're all like laughing your butts off right now, but Jeremy's dad is going through a very serious character arc right now, okay? So shut up. Jeremy's dad doesn't know how to help his son, of course, so he needs to find someone who will. So, of course, he goes over to Michael's house, because daily reminder that Michael is Jeremy's favorite person. Michael is sitting on his front porch, also not wearing pants, smoking weed, and burning items that are symbolic of his and Jeremy's friendship. Okay, so, first off, insert Hamilton reference here. I have several questions about this. So, one... So, in this neighborhood, you can really just, sit out on your front porch doing drugs and just no one will notice. Especially if you're a minor who's not wearing pants. I get that in, some neighborhoods, you can get away with that, but, we don't have that information about these characters, so we can't just assume that. So, for all we know, they're living in, some super suburban neighborhood, and Michael's just, out on his front porch doing drugs. Second, are Michael's mothers just completely oblivious to what their son is doing literally out on the front porch of their house? Come on, you can do better than this, Mrs. and Mrs. Mel, or, whatever your last names are, no judgment. Third, no one is concerned about the probably 40-ish-year-old man who just ran up to the 16-year-old boy who... And both of them are not wearing pants. And 4, I guess Michael's, weed is just some, super sci-fi weed that, doesn't smell. Or maybe Mr. Here just, doesn't know what marijuana smells like. I'm just saying this is, the most ridiculously improbable scenario for this scene to happen in. And I just, had to take a moment to talk about it for the sake of my sanity. Okay, now we will, actually go progress the plot. Michael sees Mr. Here coming down the street, so he, hides his drugs under, a pillow or something, and then he's just like, oh, hi, Mr. Here, how's your day going? And I'm totally not getting high off of illegal substances right now. Why would you even think that? Mr. Here is like, Michael, I understand that Jeremy can be a little shit sometimes, but that's no reason to sit outside burning incense instead of helping him with his problems. And Michael's like, yeah, no, Mr. Here, I'm sorry, but Jeremy can go screw himself. Unless he wants me to do it for him. What? No, I didn't say that. There's literally a part where Here Dad asks Michael, do you love him, Jeremy? And Michael's response is, What? Anyway, Mr. Here motivates Michael to go help his best friend slash secret crush since like forever, and Michael only agrees to do it if Mr. Here goes down to the Kohl's down the street and buys some pants, which he agrees to do. Meanwhile, at the school play, Christine is giving a little speech on stage before the play starts about like, thank you for coming to see our show or whatever, and she gets like really, really into it, like hilariously into it. So then at the end of her speech, she, like, starts to leave, but then the play director sticks his head through the curtains, and he's like, the costumes! So then Christine turns around, and she's like, oh, and thanks to Hobby Lobby for the costumes. Once again, it's funny, because it's true. The underappreciation and derision that drama programs receive in public schools is just freaking hilarious, and I love having one of my major passions be underfunded as all hell. You know why? Because that's fun! As she's walking backstage, Christine runs into Jeremy, and she, like, starts freaking out at him because he's super late, and the play director is literally about to start, like, doing his part for him, even though he's already also doing Rich's part, because Rich can't do his part because he's from the hospital, obviously. Also, have I seriously not mentioned the play director yet? He's not an important character anyway. But anyway, his name is Mr. Reyes, and he's, like, really melodramatic, and in the book, he had this weird obsession with Hot Pockets that they still reference sometimes in the musical. Don't question it. Jeremy's like, yo, Christine, I know that you don't always relate to other people your age and you're going through some tough stuff right now, but you know it'll make it feel better? Drugs! I mean a squip! They're completely different things, I promise! Christine thinks the squip is really shady, so she doesn't take Jeremy up on his offer. In the 2018 version, she actually already knows what a squip is because a kid at her theater camp took one and then later ended up in a mental hospital. I don't know if this is supposed to be like the same kid that Michael heard about earlier or whatever. But honestly, I think this is kind of a stupid change because just having Christine know that the squip is a bad idea on instinct shows how much more emotionally mature she is than Jeremy and everyone else around her. But, you know, let's just change that for, like, basically no reason. God dang it, 2018 version, why do you ruin, like, 80% of the things you touch? Although, in my previous videos, I've been taking some shots at Will Rowland, but I'm not going to be doing that this video. Because I was informed that some people got a hold of Will Rowland's cell phone number and now they're, like, sending him death threats because he's, like, not the right body type for Jeremy or whatever. And, like, first off, the only physical description we get of Jeremy is that he's, like, tallish, at least taller than Rich, and I'm pretty sure Will Rowland fits that criteria, so, that makes no sense. And also, I may not like him as an actor, but, like, I'm not gonna send him death threats over it. So, like, stop. I say as if anything that I'm saying right now is going to have any kind of impact at all. Moving on, Christine tells Jeremy that while she may have some stuff to figure out, she doesn't need a pill to do it for her. Yes, Christine, you go, girl! God, I love this character so much! Jeremy tells her that the squip will help her to be better, and Christine responds, what's wrong with me now? And that's what does it. Because Jeremy is very in love with Christine, and he doesn't think that there's anything wrong with her now. And that's when he realizes that, yeah, Christine may have some stuff to figure out, but so does he, and so does everybody else, and we don't need Japanese supercomputers to tell us how to fix them. We can fix them on our own. Christine! This character needed more to do in this musical. I swear to God, like, if they just release, like, an alternate version of Be More Chill where Christine is the main character and, like, she has a squip and she's the one who goes through all the emotional trauma, do you have any idea how much I would, like, devour that musical? Like, that would become my new, like, obsession with my life. Be More Christine coming to Broadway in 2022. The squip tells Jeremy that he has anticipated Christine's, Jeremy's, and everyone else's resistance to the plan, and he has found a way around it. Right about then, Mr. Reyes walks in with a beaker of, like, zombie juice or whatever for the play, and everyone has to drink from it at some point in the play. And the liquid in it is green with gray oblong specks floating in it. So yeah, as you probably guessed, it's Mountain Dew with a bunch of squips in it. And pretty much everyone in the entire play has been squipped by now, including Mr. Reyes. We find out that he's been squipped because he has this dramatic monologue where he's like, you needy, pathetic, self-centered students. You thought that I wanted to teach high school drama in New Jersey? Well, my squip says that I can go all the way to Broadway. Jeremy's like, crap, this is not good. How do I stop this? And the Squip is like, careful, Jeremy, you don't want to end up like Rich. And then Jeremy has this extremely dramatic flashback of Rich saying, I need Mountain Dew Red! And he comes to the conclusion that since green Mountain Dew activates the Squip, red Mountain Dew must shut it off. And I know that we're like in the middle of a big climactic action scene and everything, but we need to talk about Rich for a second, okay? Now we know that at the Halloween party, Rich was asking for Mountain Dew Red because he wanted to get the Squip out of his brain, and knowing this gives us a few more theories as to why the fire may have been set. There is a chance that it was genuinely an accident, like we know that the Squip was trying to, like, physically restrain Rich from like, trying to get Mountain Dew Red, and that's why he was acting all weird at the party. So, like, maybe there was, like, a struggle where the Squip was trying to restrain Rich, and then Rich was trying to go someplace, and then, like, in the struggle, they, like, bumped a table, and then that knocked over someone's drink, and then that drink landed on an electrical socket, boom, house on fire. Maybe the Squip forced Rich to light the fire as, like, an attempt to stop him from finding any Mountain Dew Red, like, oh, if he takes the Squip out of his brain, then I won't be able to improve his life. Well, I guess having this kid freaking kill himself by lighting a fire will do a better job of improving his life than, you know, him actually being alive. There is also the possibility that, and I haven't seen anyone else on the internet propose this theory, so, like, maybe it's just me being weird and dark, but maybe Rich decided that having a life with a Squip was worse than having no life at all, so he lit the fire as a suicide attempt. I mean, he does say in the Squip song that as a freshman he was so suicidal, and I mean, that's really vague, but it could be interpreted as him having a history of suicidal tendencies. Anyway, back to the climax. According to the Squip, Mountain Dew Red was discontinued by Squips, or at least I think that's what this line is implying, and if my interpretation is correct, then that means that Squips have been around ruining people's lives since as far back as 1988. Perfect! The Squip's like, to get a bottle of that stuff now, you need a time machine back to the 1990s. And Jeremy's like, oh, our best friend who's such a nerd, he buys retro soft drinks in a back room at Spencer's Gifts. And then the Squip's like, well, you haven't got one of those anymore, have you? Jeremy's like gonna go run to Michael's house or something, I guess. But the Squip's like physically restraining him back. And it looks like the Squip's gonna win and Jeremy's not gonna make it to Michael's. And then the music in the background builds to this cacophonous swell end! Michael makes an entrance! Apparently Michael was in the audience watching and he was like, hey, this is pretty good for a school play. But then he was like, wait a minute, this is way too good for a school play! And that's how I knew that the cast had been Squipped. Once again, I just love having my passions have, like, zero funding so that they can never have the chance to be good and just being constantly lambasted instead. That just makes me feel so good inside. Michael brought a bottle of Mountain Dew Red with him because he did his research, but, like, he said he did his research before when he found out about the guy who went to the mental institution. So, like, has Michael known about the Mountain Dew Red thing the entire time, or did he only just now reach this part in his research? Because, like, if he's known about the red thing this entire time, he could have just kidnapped Jeremy, shoved some red down his throat, and then we could have just avoided this entire stressful situation. Great job, Michael. Jeremy's like, man, this is awesome, give me the Mountain Dew Red. And Michael's like, excuse you, but I want an apology for how I have been treated for the past few days, because I have time and place, Michael. The Squip takes control of Jeremy's tongue so that he can't say the word sorry, and then he also takes control of Jeremy's limbs and forces him and Michael into this really melodramatic kung fu fight where they also, like, break down emotionally to each other, and it's just, like, really random and stupid, but at the same time, it feels appropriate. Jeremy eventually, like, breaks down emotionally in front of Michael. So then Michael figures out that it's the Squip forcing him to do these things. So then Jake is walking by. Oh yeah, Jake's back. He's just in, like, 2, like, full leg casts and is walking around on crutches. And, like, honestly, doing your school play when you should really probably be home resting your legs at the home that you don't have because Rich burned it down. Anyway, honestly, that's a remarkable amount of dedication to the craft of theater, and I respect Jake for that. Michael sees Jake walking by, and he's like, yo, Jake, this is gonna sound weird, but if I hold Jeremy down, can you force him to drink this Mountain Dew Red? To which Jake's response is, actually, that doesn't sound weird at all. But then Jake's Squip kicks in, and obviously it tells him not to help Jeremy and Michael. And then Jake starts singing a version of the Upgrade song from before, but the joke is that, like, the squip is supposed to make you more confident, right? Well, the thing is, Jake is already so confident that the squip basically ends up having no effect, so he's just kind of, I was already pretty boss before, but now I'm totally boss, and then some more. I'm living the upgrade, God, I love me. There's also a joke where Jake's like, yo, take a look at this, y'all, and then he drops his crutches to the ground and he's still standing, and Jeremy's like, whoa, the squip healed your legs, man? And then Jake's like, no, but I can't feel pain. And, like, honestly, that one line might be the most accurate summary of the squip ever. Jeremy and Michael team up to fight all the squipped cast members who are acting like zombies because they're at the play about zombies. And then Jeremy and Michael reprise the bromance song from earlier, because when they originally sang that, they were playing a video game in which they fought zombies, and it's freaking cute, okay? There's another stupid joke with Brooke and Chloe about girls being just so fickle, ha 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 ha, fuck off. Jeremy's about to drink the Mountain Dew Red, but the squip is like, Jeremy, if you drink that, you'll never be with her, and it gestures to Christine. And there's a moment where he's just happy to see her. And it's cute, because, like, he just got done fighting through the freaking zombie apocalypse with his gay best friend, but now Christine is here, and he's just happy. But then he realizes she's been squipped, too. Jeremy's like, excuse me, that is not Christine, and then the squip's like, yes it is, she's just had all her fears and insecurities removed, and I'm sorry, but can we just talk about Jeremy goddamn here for a second? There are some douchebag guys in the world who would meet Christine and be like, you're cute, but I don't care about, like, musical theater or whatever it is that you've been prattling on about for the last 20 minutes, so, yeet. But Jeremy doesn't care that Christine will go on and on talking about sometimes literally nothing, because that's what she's passionate about, and he doesn't care. And when he is confronted with a version of Christine that is, like, a little more normal or whatever, he's like, what is this trash I detect in my line of vision? Get it away. That is not Christine Canigula. I don't want it. I don't care if it has the exclusive French kissing DLC. Get it out of my face. Once again, I don't understand how there are people out there who think that Jeremy is a completely shallow, bad, terrible person when there are moments like this in the show that are specifically written to show you that he's not. Like, is Jeremy a little shit sometimes? Yes. Does he make bad decisions sometimes? Definitely. But once he realizes that he's done wrong, will he try to fix it? Abso-freaking-lutely. What is he doing right now? Exactly that. Anyway, the squip tells Jeremy that the squipped version of Christine will do whatever he wants, and that has some rapey implications. Why is there so much potential rape in this musical? Jesus freaking Christ? Jeremy's like, she'll do anything I say. Hey, Christine, come drink this Mountain Dew Red. And that in itself is really cute because, like, Jeremy's squip, he's been stuck with it for, like, probably a couple weeks. I don't know exactly what the timeline on this musical is, but he's had it for at least a couple weeks, and it's already, like, emotionally breaking him on an unstable level. But he would rather go on with what he has right now than let Christine, who has only had her squip for, like, a half hour, he doesn't want her squip to escalate to the point where it is with his. He doesn't want her to be as psychologically broken as he is. I can't handle Jeremy here, guys. As soon as Christine drinks the thing, she starts screaming in pain, and then everyone else starts screaming in pain, and it's just like a giant pain fest for everyone involved. And then everyone, like, collapses, and the stage goes black, and when the lights come back on, Jeremy is in the hospital, and he's in the same hospital room as Rich because narrative convenience. Look, guys, we're in, like, the last scene. Let's just stop questioning things so that we can get through this, okay? Basically, because the squip connected everyone through its social network or whatever, getting rid of one, Christine's, got rid of everyone's. Although, one, everyone is a very vague statement. And two, Rich's got destroyed even though he wasn't at the play. So, like, did the squip just make him part of the social network because he went to that school and because he didn't want him getting out of line again? Or, like, does everyone mean, like, every squip in the entire world? Or just, like, everyone in town? Or, like, in a several-mile radius? What are the rules? Now that Rich's squip is gone, he has an epiphany. When I get out of here, the ladies are gonna learn to love the real Richard Garansky. And the dudes. Oh my god, I am totally bi. So the implication here is that Rich's squip has been repressing his sexuality for almost a year and a half because in its view, being gay or a guy who is into other guys isn't considered cool. First of all, yikes. And second off, during the smartphone hour, you'll recall that one of the rumors circulating around school was Rich set a fire because he knew it was gay. So there's a theory that, like, maybe during the party, Rich, like, fell in love with another boy. Potentially Jake. There's a lot of Rich Jake shippers out there. So, like, maybe Rich fell in love with Jake. And then the Squib was like, no homo, we ain't doing this. And then that was, like, what made Rich realize that he didn't want the Squib in his head, and that was what set him off on the quest to find the Mountain Dew Red. There's this bit where Rich is talking about Michael, and he asks Jeremy, what is he, your boyfriend? No judgment, just curious, totally bi now. And then Michael enters, and he's like, I'm sure some special someone would be happy to have you, Rich. And then Rich's response is, you think? The best part is, in the 2018 version, they changed the line slightly so that Rich asks, what is he, your boyfriend? Is he single? Totally bi now. So, it's kind of implied that Rich and Michael might be canon, at least in the NYC run. I mean, I've been shipping it for a very long time, so I am not complaining. Jeremy's dad comes in finally wearing pants, and he's like, yeah, son, I know you took Japanese drugs that fucked your brain up for life, but that's not what I'm concerned about. What I'm concerned about is, who's this Christine girl that I've been hearing a bunch about? So then everybody just starts giving Jeremy advice on how to ask Christine out, and Michael has some actually great advice, whereas Rich is just being Rich. Also, apparently Brooke remembers the Squipcident, as I like to call it, as everyone just taking ecstasy together at the school play, which, you know, seems legit. Also, Jake is just, like, super chill on giving Jeremy advice on how to woo his ex-girlfriend. I mean, I know that Jake, like, likes to bounce around between girls, but, I mean, that's still gotta be awkward for somebody. And, like, Brooke and Chloe, too. Brooke is Jeremy's ex-girlfriend that he didn't actually like, and Chloe tried to freaking rape him, and now everybody's just, like, friends again, like, what? Jeremy goes up to Christine, and they basically just summarize all the themes of the musical in 2 lines of dialogue. Also, we find out the form that Christine's Squip took. In the 2015 show, it's Hillary Clinton, and in the 2018 show, it's Ruth Bader Ginsburg. Oh, Christine. Jeremy and Christine start dating, and it's adorable and stuff. And then we find out that the Squip technically isn't dead. He still comes back from, like, Jeremy's subconscious to berate him obnoxiously. But now Jeremy has learned his lesson, and he trusts his own judgment more, so he's not going to listen to the Squip's stupid advice. And then the musical ends! But unfortunately for you, this video doesn't. So overall, I really liked everything about this musical, as you could probably tell by the fact that I decided to make 4 YouTube videos that will be watched by absolutely no one describing the plot of this bad boy. But I do have a few complaints. Sometimes the musical can give you a bit of tone whiplash, because, like, it wants to be dark, but it also doesn't want to shove the dark elements in your face. And sometimes it does a really good job of, like, masking them with a light, kind of cheery out center, and then having the actual core of it be really dark. But other times, it just comes off as awkward. A great example of this is The Pitiful Children, because the Squip instantly goes from second-hand arsonist and rapist to Saturday morning cartoon villain who wants to take over the world. And the ending song is ridiculously cheery, but it's implied that all of these kids are going to have immense psychological damage for the rest of their lives. Can we please talk about that for a sec? I feel like Chloe didn't get enough comeuppance. Or, like, any. The only thing she got was what she wanted. Jake. And you could almost say that Jake didn't get enough comeuppance either, but, like, at least he is, like, a good person under all of his bad actions, whereas Chloe is just, like, straight up a terrible person all the way through the musical. And, like, it's implied that she's only doing it because she's, like, paranoid of everyone else around her. And, like, I like to imagine that Chloe has, like, anxiety issues, and she has, like, anxiety attacks and stuff, and that's why she does some of the stuff she does. And it's implied at the end that she's, like, getting better, but, like, she tried to rape the main character. I'm not going to be satisfied unless A, she does a complete on-screen 180, or B, Michael pushes her off a cliff. Also, as I mentioned before, Jenna never really gets to do anything. I mean, there are other characters who don't really get to do anything, like Mr. Reyes, the play director, but, like, at least he serves the purpose of play director. Jenna just serves no purpose in the story at all, and she's just, like, here doing nothing. And that makes me mad because I like Jenna and I want to see more of Jenna in the musical, but there's no reason for there to be more of Jenna in the musical, so then they're not going to put more of Jenna in the musical, and then I'm going to get mad at them for not putting Jenna in the musical more. And do you see the paradox here? Before we end here, I just want to talk about all of the metaphorical resonance that the squip holds, because holy Augustus Waters, there are so many things that this thing symbolizes. Generally, the squip serves as a stand-in for society's expectations, particularly its negative aspects. The most subtle metaphor the squip serves is all of the critiques of toxic masculinity. Like, for example, this is just really subtle, but Jake and Rich are, like, the cool guys, right? But, like, they're not very emotionally open with one another, but they're both, like, very emotionally broken, but because they don't reach out to themselves or anyone else for it, they just keep on suffering and spiraling down the black hole of depression. Whereas Jeremy and Michael, they're also psychologically broken, but they're more open with each other about it, and so they probably deal with it better, but they are considered uncool and get called gay all the time. Also, like, one of the first things the squip has Jeremy do is tell Brooke and Chloe that he, like, dated this girl when he didn't. He's, like, having him lie about what experience that he has with girls or whatever, and the literal first thing we hear about Jake in the musical is in relation to a girl that he slept with, and ironically, it's the same girl. The girl that Jeremy lied about and the girl that Jake actually slept with are the same girl. They're the same background character. Honestly, Jake and Jeremy serve as the whole critique themselves, because when you really think about it, the squip is just trying to turn Jeremy into Jake. Because when you think about it, what is Jake Dillinger? He's confident, he's popular, and he's Christine's boyfriend. What is Jeremy trying to be? Confident, popular, and Christine's boyfriend. There's also a lot of not as subtle critiques of society's views of LGBT plus people, which is connected to the toxic masculinity thing, because in our society, being a guy who is attracted to other guys is considered feminine, and being a girl who is attracted to other girls is considered masculine. Spoiler alert, it's not, and even if it was, who fucking cares? I mean, there's the whole thing that I just mentioned like 2 seconds ago with Rich's bisexuality being repressed by a squip. That basically confirms the whole metaphor right there. What more evidence do you need? But also, Jeremy's squip starts optic nerve blocking Michael. So, maybe Jeremy is actually going through the same thing Rich was. Maybe Jeremy is subconsciously attracted to Michael, but he just doesn't realize it, but the squip does, so the squip is preemptively blocking Michael already so that Jeremy won't realize that he likes boys later on and ruin the squip's plan to improve his life by getting him fucking raped. I know that I mentioned that the squip tried to fucking rape Jeremy like every 2 seconds, but I'm going to keep saying it because I don't feel like it gets talked about enough. And because of lines like the squip telling Jeremy that everything about him is so terrible, maybe the squip represents the mental anguish and self-hatred that many LGBT plus people go through because of society telling them that they're weird and unnatural and don't deserve to exist. And then that also ties into the mental health metaphor, because as a person who struggles with depression and anxiety issues, I can assure you that some of the things that the squip tells Jeremy are eerily similar to things that I tell myself sometimes. And that's not a good thing for me or Jeremy. And the fact that the squip is confirmed to still be around, just weakened at the end of the show, adds to that so much, because in real life, even if you go to a therapist and take medication and stuff, your problems don't just go away instantly like that. They're still around. You can just get better at dealing with them, and they can become lessened. And the fact that the squip is still around just adds a bit more gravity to the otherwise cartoonishly light ending. And I'm very grateful that they did that, because dear God, that ending song is obnoxious. And on that note, that was this series of videos. I don't know if anyone actually watched this all the way through, but if you did, thank you, I guess. Also, why? But still, thank you. Abby, I will see you on Friday. Why did Friday sound so weird coming out of my mouth? Friday.